I'm going to just keep it real. He's over there trying to figure something out, and I'm just killing time. Not really quite killing time, but almost killing time. And welcome to our high times and good, or high vibes and good times. I'm over here laughing. I'm like, that's because I'm sober, right? It's like I'm on break in between sessions, and Matthew and I decided that we like to talk. We like to talk a lot.
We talk like crazy,
like all the time, and then we're always like, man,
this would be a good podcast.
That would be a good podcast. That'd be a good video. That'd be a good this. That'd be a good that. And I'm like, yeah, we'll get there. But welcome. My name is Linda Maris, and I like my friends and followers to call me Maris. It means oceans. And this is
Matthew Callahan.
And what do you want to be called?
Matt's fine, I don't care.
Matt? Okay.
Matthew, I'm like back. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Just don't forget to call me. Oh, guess who forgot to put that up? Yeah. So this won't be on a podcast. So this will be just like a good kind of run to see how we flow on this. And
welcome.
So you're a part of the pilot program here. This is again, high vibes and good times. And our goal, because when Matthew and I sat down and talked about this, I was like, I don't want to watch The View. I don't like people. I don't like the debate. And it's not that I don't like to debate, because I love to debate.
Oh yeah.
I don't like complaining without
a solution
or a resolution.
Give me some way to fix it.
And so we kind of decided that we wanted to focus on things that were of a high vibration or a good time, and that's where we are right now.
Yes.
So we've been having these we have like really bizarre conversations.
We have like weird girl talks.
Very weird. And we'll just say, Matthew is the owner of is it Dragon's Cove or Dragon Cove?
Dragon's Cove.
Dragons with an apostrophe.
Yeah.
So it's a cove owned by a dragon, right?
Yeah.
He's the dragon.
I figured.
And he specializes in crystals and cool crystal things.
Yes.
So he's got some really neat things over there, and he's got some neat things to share with us. And then, and I'm Linda Maris, and I own Oklahoma Healing Connection. It used to be family owned because it was like everybody in my family participated, and everybody grew up and moved away, and so I'm the only one left. But yeah, so it's Oklahoma Healing Connection, and I specialize in energy or vibrational healing, as well as some other things as well. But one of the things that we were talking about, and it's a topic that comes up often in session, people will ask about their soulmates. And I think we have a little bit of we need to define, what is a soulmate? What is a soulmate to you?
I think there's multiple soulmates too, but
okay.
I think you meet someone from your past, one of your past incarnations, and you two shared something in that lifetime that's carried over to this lifetime.
And so it's kind of like that instant click that you have. I'm going to adjust this real quick here, Matthew. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, I like that better.
So we're not just like heads talking on the plate?
Yeah, like a head talking.
What's that thing from the Haunted Museum with the singing heads?
Yeah. Can't do that. But so, you're talking about soulmates, and we have this concept of soulmates. And usually when I think about soulmates, I think about that past life. We have some kind of connection. It's a weird connection. And when you know when you
we knew.
Yeah.
And we're not like that time. We're like soul family, but like we knew. Like I knew I was like,
I know her. I know him. Where do I know him from? And I've never seen him before, never met him before. It happens to me often. And then, so we're talking about, and that's like in people. And I think a lot of times everybody assumes that it's some kind of sexual or romantic thing.
It can be, but it's not. It doesn't have to be.
I don't know. It doesn't have to be, and you're right. It can be, but a soulmate is two people, or two entities. We're going to use the word entity. That have a particular vibration, and those vibrations connect. Mm-hmm. And now that vibration might stem from might stem from past life thing, you know,
It could
like
be karmic debt.
karmic debt, something to that effect. But you know, the term soulmate, or you know,
Twin flame,
twin
or
flame soulmate, is usually indicative of somebody that you have a deep, or yeah, somebody, something that you have a deep connection with. Ooh, look, did you see the?
yeah, I like going with that was weird.
I'm like, okay, and so I'm like, well, okay, I might have had a what is that word? A mudslide, a frozen mudslide in the Long Island tea too much. But when I met my dog Lucy, my Dotson, that I knew she was a soulmate. The minute her eyes and my eyes connected, and even though I was drinking, I was like, I knew that dog was my soulmate, you know. And so, you know, it's like you can connect in with all these different people, and you know that you're really, really connected with them. And so there are various degrees of soulmates.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. So let's say, and this is our conversation went a little bit deeper into soulmates, and it's like, so let's say you have a soulmate, and in you know, like the right before this lifetime, you know, you guys say, I know we're soulmates, and in the next lifetime, I want us to be able to connect.
Mm-hmm.
And so we all have this idea that we're going to connect in with our soulmate, and you know, the next lifetime occurs, and
You don't take that path.
you don't take that path. What if that soulmate that you made an agreement with in one lifetime that you're going to connect and reconnect in another lifetime? What if that soulmate, or maybe you're that soulmate, decides to go take a different path?
And then that kind of brings the question about fate versus free will, because it's like, how much of a direction do you have, or is fate going to kind of take over and push you back in that direction where you made that agreement?
See, I look at it both ways. I'm like, I believe that we have a free will, and we can choose what we're going to do.
Right.
You know, we can say, you know, it's like, oh, I've always wanted to go to this particular place, but I never go there.
And see, that's like where we tie to like those of us who are very sensitive to energy. You're like, I know I'm meant to do this. Like, even though you don't know the why yet, it's kind of like someone explained to me with GPS. It's like, I can see the beginning, and I know I want to get here, but I don't know how I'm supposed to get here. And it's like, that's where kind of like that twisted road comes in. It's like, I know I need to be here, but how do I get from here to here?
And it's like, and then you sit there and you think about it, and you end up in a place where there's a fork in the road.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, if I go to the right, if I take the fork on the right, you know, I'm gonna, you know, experience this, maybe live in Finland, or I don't know, whatever, you know, for 6 months, and then I'm gonna, my soulmate and I might connect over there in Germany. You know, I'm just throwing countries off the top of my head. You know, or if I go to the path that's on the left, and I end up moving to rural America, and I never leave rural America, I made a choice in this lifetime that might prevent me, or make it take a long time for me to actually ever connect up with that soulmate.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
You know, so it's like, you know, we can say soulmates, and I think we have 1,000 soulmates. I think that there's a lot of people that we connect with. I think there's a lot of animals we connect with. I personally believe that when we reincarnate, that we sometimes, you know, can sit there and go, look, I just want to be somebody's dog. And I'm not talking like your wench. I'm talking like the four-legged with the tail.
Well,
I just want to be somebody's tail. I just want to be somebody's tail.
I just want to be. I want to be the tail all the time. I don't want to be the head.
I'm like, I'm tired of being biped. I just want to be on all fours, you know, and eat, you know, chase my tail and eat kibbles. That'll be okay.
Well, there's some people who believe that, like, even like the in-between lives, because I may not pass away the same time this other person does, but then you get that guarding, you're like, you remind me of somebody from younger years.
Oh, yeah.
Even within just one lifetime.
You know, just kind of dawned on me, you know, in dogs or in animals, they talk about walk-ins. so let's say you had this wonderful dog, and I'm going to pick on Maggie. I had a dog named Maggie. Maggie was a pit bull. And Maggie, I loved Maggie. Maggie was my right-hand gal. And Maggie passed away several years ago. She had cancer. She had lymphoma about the time my husband was experiencing lymphoma. And Maggie passed away. And I was really, really, really close to Maggie. And there was just something about that connection. When I looked at Maggie, in her eyes, I knew it was Maggie. You know, the way that they look at you, the expression on their face, the shape of their eyes, whatever, right? So a couple of years pass, and I get another dog. And this dog is a Jack Russell Terrier, nothing like a pit bull, right? And his name is Jackson. And so one day, and Jackson and I are like really close, you know, he's my bud. And I look over at Jackson, and he's got Maggie's eyes. And he's looking at me in the very same way that Maggie looked at me.
You're like, wait a minute, is that you?
And I'm over here, and I'm like, Maggie? Maggie? And the tail's wagging, so I'm like, oh, God, that's really kind of weird. You know, so you're thinking, and it's like, I think Jackson is Maggie's walk-in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that, you know, Maggie's vibration or Maggie's soul, whatever it is, there's something about Maggie that Jackson now holds. Mm. You know, and so we have a, you know, so our relationship is really, really close, you know. And you're like, she talks about close relationships with her dogs. And I'm like, I will just tell you this, if I was hungry and I had no food, my dogs would probably go look for food and bring it back to me. That's how, you know, we work together on through that. It's like,
that's like Thomas's. That's like Josie. She used to know when Thomas's blood sugar would drop. She would freak out, and she would never. She knew by instinct.
Knew.
Yeah.
I think animals are just like amazing. And so I'm watching a chick flick, and it's called A Christmas Tale, Tail. You know, like a dog tale. And it's about a story about a dog. And this dog brings a single mom and a single dad together, and, you know, blah, blah, blah for Christmas. And the son is reading the book, and he looks at his mother, because he's kind of like, why do you want a dog? And she's just like, well, because dogs are good, or whatever. And he's like, reading an Abraham Maslow book, and this made me laugh. And he looks at her, and he says, some people use animals to replace human relationships. And you know, something to that effect, and I'm like,
crazy cat lady syndrome.
Crazy cat lady, or crazy dog.
I have a million friends. Yes, I see you do.
You know, the lady who has 7 dogs. You know, so I'm over here, and I'm like, they're all soulmates. That's how I will get away with it. They are all my soulmates, and I got to take care of my soulmates. But, you know, it's like when you think about soulmates, it's not always romantic.
No.
You know, it's not always about a love relationship, because I'm like, I've had a lot of love relationships, and trust me, they were not my soulmates. You know, and I wasn't their soulmate. And then you come across, you meet somebody, or, you know, and I'm talking platonically, not in a, you know, romantic way, or a dog. A cat, a bird, whatever, and
they know it before we do.
And they know it before we do.
Because they're like, and I'm like, where are you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm your soulmate. Okay, I'm your favorite human. But it's so interesting, because it's like, how many of us make choices in our life that either prohibits us from connecting with our soulmate, or prolongs that, and how does that affect that relationship?
Well, isn't that like because what was it? Betty White said that when she married Al London. She's like, I don't regret that I didn't marry him sooner, because she kept avoiding him. She's like, no, and then she finally was like, okay, fine. And then she's like, he was the best of her life. She said that was the best she ever had, but she kept stopping it.
And is it because we're afraid of being with a soulmate? Are we afraid? I look at that. This is, you know, something that I kind of noticed like trends or, trends happening in this is that people often believe that they don't deserve a wonderful life.
Or they downplay themselves.
Or they downplay that they would, so it's kind of like, you have all of this talent, you have all of this opportunity, why don't you use it? Well, so-and-so didn't think I would make a very good chef, physician, whatever, so I never pursued it. But wasn't that like a dream of yours?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it just never worked out that way, so I went ahead and I just worked for Piggly Wiggly instead. And I'm kind of like, always follow your dream, because I think that when we do follow those dreams, that those soulmates show up.
Yeah, things come in as they're meant to.
As they're meant to, and that it's like, I have a friend that's like 36 years old, and she's not married, and doesn't have any prospects of that. And she kind of looks at things, and she's, well, maybe I'm just not meant to be married. And I'm like, maybe you just haven't connected with that person that is your soulmate. I don't like to use that word in a romantic, because I'm like, we always think they're our soulmate when we first fall in lust. Always.
We're meant to be. The stars guided us together.
The stars guided us together. That I know he's my soulmate. I know she's my soulmate.
Our star charts match perfectly, and
they're in alignment. And
I'm not, that's just a form of research. That's something you learn from. But the people, like, that's all their focus. It's like you sometimes focus so much on the signs, you miss
the red flags.
It's going ding, 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 ding. Here's your sign, and you're like, oh, but I see this sign and this. No, right here, the flashing sign.
The big flashing sign, and no, they're probably not your soulmate.
I saw something on YouTube yesterday. Was it Facebook? It was like this guy was sitting with this girl. He's like, all the green flags. He's like, oh, I'll take you out to eat dinner. I'm paying. Let's go to a movie afterwards. Let's do this. Let's do this. And then you see some guy in the background running the red flag. He's like, oh, hi, I'm going over there. And you're missing the thing right here that's in front of you for that thing.
Yeah, you want that distraction. And I think that sometimes, going back to that word of fate or whatever, I think sometimes fate throws us a loopity-loo and does put us into a place where we see green flags and we don't pay attention to the red flags.
People forget to tap in too, because sometimes you'll hear that voice and people will ignore it over and every time I ignore it, I regret it. I'm like, why do I?
Okay, but and I also have this. Okay, all right. Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung, I love those guys. They're my go-tos when it comes to a lot of things. Now, Sigmund Freud was a little hung up on the phallus and all of that stuff.
Your mother and the
phallus. And I'm like, okay. But I mean, he does have some great paradigms. But when they talk about intuition and how our psyche works and how intuition flows, intuition is always that very first burst of energy. Mm-hmm. Always. Intuition is that very first burst of energy, message, whatever, that tells you, shows you something.
Can it be a little louder sometimes? Because sometimes you'd be like, oh, turn here. And you're like, wait.
Do that a little sooner, man.
Give me a little warning. Don't just throw it at me.
That would be great, And then anything that follows after that becomes ego.
That makes sense.
So your first instinct is intuition, and then everything that follows after that is our ego filling in holes or
making up stories,
whatever it needs to do. And how often, especially as people that are healers or empaths, healers, whatever you want to call it, how often do we override our intuition with our ego and think that we're making a better choice?
There's a medical thing. There was a medical study done on that one time about like where you'll fill in things. Mm-hmm. When people have split brain, because they'll put a divide up because your left eye sees with your different side of the brain, And like when one side sees something, because which side is it? One side has the voice receptor, but whichever side doesn't, it'll make up something just to be like, oh, well, this is why I did this. But the other side, they can't communicate with you, so your brain's like, oh, I'll just make something up.
Oh, I'll fill in the gap. And maybe somewhere in between we'll figure out what really happened.
The truth will be somewhere down there.
The truth is somewhere down through there. I think perspective changes that. So it's like wherever you are in your life, you're going to have a different perspective to things that are going on. All right, so I'm over a lot of political stuff. I'm over it. I'm like, I've realized, over the last 15 years, I've realized a lot of things, and that some people just aren't ready to get over things or move through, and etc. And so when I say conspiracy theories, I'm not focusing just on politics, okay? I focus on Area 51, Bigfoot, the little people,
the Illuminati,
the Illuminati,
the little robes, the black robes.
There's 1,000 things that we could call a conspiracy theory.
And there's a conspiracy on top of every other conspiracy.
Exactly. And so I made a post, and it was a t-shirt, and it said I need to come up with some new conspiracy theories because all of mine have come true. And it was so bizarre, the negative feedback on that. And I'm like, you're letting a t-shirt govern you. Well, and I realized it was by patriotic freedom or something, so there's a little thing over here on the arm that, I guess, American flag or whatever, so people were getting offended by that. But I'm like focusing on what the shirt says, and I'm like, I look at it as 100 different things. I use the word quackery. I'll post up something about doing foot detoxes, and I will get 30 hateful responses about a foot detox.
Rather than let me try it and see, oh no, I saw this, it's not right, it's fake.
It's quackery, it's fake, you're fake, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whatever, okay. And I used to kind of react to that, and I'm like, I'm not reacting to you guys anymore. Because if you're not willing to sit down and talk to me about it,
exactly.
Or experience it, then I don't have time or energy to expend on, arguing in a circle. So I was like, if you don't have a resolution or you don't have a plan to it, we're just not going to address it anymore, But I looked and I kept thinking about that shirt, and I'm like, what is it about that shirt
that makes people angry?
That makes people angry, or triggers them enough to start making comments or say hateful things. I think I had a couple of people, I would never go to a healer like you. Okay, I'm not for everybody. And I recognize that. And not everybody is for me. But I am for somebody, and somebody is for me. And that's what makes it beautiful. Just as in, you may not want to get your crystals from Matt.
But if you do, definitely come.
Yeah, we would love for you to come to Dragon's Cove and check out the crystals. But there's going to be a crystal dealer there for you.
Or somebody.
I was like, you have to have different vibrations of people working out there, because we're all going to connect in different ways. And some people, we're not going to connect.
One of my friends said this one time, I kind of think about it. They're like, well, these little boxes, we all have to have these little boxes, like Reiki is a box, and it's a way of doing something, or crystal healing is a box, and it's a way of doing something. It's just, we all have our little boxes, and sometimes people don't fit in those boxes. Also, some people don't want to be in boxes. They just, okay, I'm going to take a little bit from this one, a little bit from this one, and that makes me who I am. I don't have to be in a box. Some people have to be in a box, and there's nothing wrong with either way.
Oh, I love it. It's kind of like, I'm a Christian Buddhist. Oh, okay. I'm like, all right, I'm a Christian Buddhist, okay. I'm like, well, Buddhism is a philosophy. It's not a religion, it's a philosophy. So I'm like,
philosophy too.
So I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I could see that, all right. Or, so it's, we can take different things and bring them into our vibration. And that's what creates our authentic, true self.
Mm.
And that's what I pay attention to. Who's your authentic, true self? Because you could say, well, I'm, this particular religion, I'm this particular political group, I'm this particular...
But everybody's quick to put a label, but they don't want to live under that label either.
No, nobody wants to live under that label. Because if you looked and you saw what a label... All right, so the label like for...
well, like, let's say people...
Like a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
All right, for what we have as today's Democrat, not everybody's going to fit underneath that label, but it doesn't mean they can't be Democrat or even like I love this. I know they have to be a Republican because, well, they're Christian and they're conservative and they don't like this and they don't like that, so I know they got it. And then you find out that they're Democrat and you're like, okay, all right, those boxes, those labels, they give you a very vague blanket statement,
well,
just like the word soulmate, and it's up to you to define
your canvas.
To create that canvas, to define what that means.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, somebody, I guess they were like, oh, you must be Republican. I go, really? I'm an independent, guys,
But then you also go on that deeper level too, and they're like, because like we've had this discussion multiple times. Well, you have to be a witch because you do energy work. I know your religious belief. That's not. But you have people also who are like, I'm Wicca, but yet I practice black magic. I'm like, that's in their first read. So you automatically contradict that right there.
Yeah, you can't be Wiccan and do black magic.
It doesn't work.
It just doesn't work. And I was like, if you get rid of the word Wicca and you put down what is their philosophy, what's their code, the Wiccan Reed, Wiccan Creed or Reed. Or right. And the same thing, it was like, how many people call themselves Christians
and don't even...
and have broken every single one of those 10 commandments? I mean, and Jewish people, follow the 10 commandments as well. How many people, I was like, we keep confining ourselves. I think we confine ourselves to be labeled, or placed into a box, and that's what we are. And if you do anything outside of that,
you're wrong. You're incorrect.
Wrong.
You're an abomination.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like, just because I do energy work doesn't mean I'm a witch, or I practice witchcraft, or I do devil work, or whatever. I was like, if you really, 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 really want to know something about Scripture, get the Peshitta. And the Peshitta is like your original Bible. Okay, it's used by the first and second century Christians, the early day Christians, used the Peshitta. And I'm just going to tell you, the Peshitta was written in Aramaic. And when you go from Aramaic to Hebrew to Greek to Latin to English, you've got 5 different perspectives, 5, telling you what that means. Going from one language into another language.
But we had this talk like 2 nights ago, because you were talking about how, like, in the Peshitta, it talks about God's aura and his energy. But I'm like, but yet, modern day Christian aura, energy, that's the devil.
That's New Age.
That's
only
weird.
The devil says that.
That's a restriction that they're putting on themselves, because y'all just called God the devil.
Exactly. All right, so I'm trying to think of something really, really specific in the Peshitta. Okay, so in the Peshitta, when they go from Genesis and they talk about the creation of the earth, they say it's the he and the she of God, the all of God, the he and she of God came together and created the earth, and it was beautiful. So it's an implication that you have to have both of those energies, the masculine and the feminine energy, in order to create that life. And then you think about in sexual reproduction, you have a male and a female, and those zygotes come together, those little whatevers come together and they create life. Okay, same thing in the animal, in the animal kingdom. And I'm just going to say 2 stallions do not create a foal. Or foal. Foal, is that how you say it? F-O-A-L, foal? All right, so 2 stallions don't create a foal. 2 mares don't create a foal. You have to have a male and a female energy in order to create flesh life.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't understand that. And I'm like, well, yeah, you can test tube all, you can make
but
kids
still, at the end of the day,
and petri dish, but you're still taking that male energy and that female energy, and you're bringing it together to create life.
Mm.
All right, and that's, you can't change that. There's nothing, they'll talk, there's no spontaneous
birth
conception. There's no spontaneous
asexual reproduction.
Well, there is asexual reproduction,
in humans,
but not in
non-humans.
I don't think in mammals either.
I think there are.
I think maybe worms or something.
I think it's more insects. Insects,
worms, etc.
Like the smaller.
Yeah, but but when we're talking about mammals and animals, it is a very male and female energy. It's very.
But then also you have the thing about I know in humanity we're very patriarchal, but there are some societies where it's very feminine runs the.
Oh yeah.
Like in the Lion Kingdom, the lionesses run the pack.
Yes, and
like the horsefish. The male carries the babies.
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah. See, okay. And the female octopus, doesn't she do something to the male octopus?
Oh, I know the what is it,
the black widow spider.
The black widow and the mantis. She eats the head after she's done. She's like, I'm done. Dinner time.
Yeah. And I'm like, dudes, you only get it once. Yeah. And then you die.
What was it? Someone made a joke about that, about the Lion Kingdom, how they'll do it for 20 hours on end. And then she'd be like, get off me. And she'll literally throw him off and be like, I'm done. But in 20 minutes, come back and...
Yeah, maybe we'll do it again. Maybe not. I don't know.
It depends on my mood,
But, and so going back to the Peshitta, when you go from the Aramaic into the English, the Peshitta talks about God's radiance, God's light. Elohim, Allah. Allah is divineness, that divine creativity.
The divine in me.
The divine in me is the divine in you. And there's tons of references to God's light, to God's vibration, to the frequency of God. And that we are all energy. And that when we, and here's a really cool part about this, I really love this part. There is no distinction in ancient Aramaic, the Aramaic of the time of Christ. There is no distinction between your inner spirit and your outer spirit. Okay? So they wouldn't say your inner soul or your inner self. They would refer to that as the one thing, or as in, your vibration, yourself, your vibration. But when they would refer to you in the flesh, it wouldn't say, oh, your body is like this. It would be say, oh, you're enfleshment. You're enfleshed. So your spirit and soul is forever and everywhere. And it interconnects and joins with each other and with God. And that it is our human experience. We're still a soul. We're still a spiritual being. But we are enfleshed. E-N-F-L-E-S-H-E-D. Enfleshed.
And that ties into what other people say. That, people are like, oh, I'm having a human experience. And yeah, you're a spiritual being. Because that's what you are at the end of the day. When this ends, we are still spiritual beings having a human experience. Exactly. This human experience will pass, and then the next one will,
And you'll end up someplace else, huh?
Whatever, depending on where you believe you're going to go next. Because some are like, okay, it's the end, I'm going to go, or I'm going to continue on the next journey in the next lifetime, and
And, and you just, so I started looking at God in that way. Because I'd never been given God, an idea or concept about God in anything other than what you would read. And I'm not knocking King James Version, okay? So please don't think that that's what I'm doing. I just want to know God on God's terms. I want to understand our creation. I want to understand our enfleshment. And I felt like when I was reading other versions, NIV, NJV, King James, KJV, all these different versions, that I was reading other people's perspectives. So whoever was compiling that particular version of scripture, you're reading what they've edited. So I was like, get me the Peshitta. I want to start reading the Peshitta. So I've been like reading it online, and I've got my Psalms and Proverbs, and of course they're in English, not Aramaic. And that's what I've been kind of studying on for the last several years. And it blows me away, because when you read the Aramaic to English, when they're giving you a little teaching spot about something that they've written, they're always referring to the vibration and frequency of our Creator. And that we, reinforcing that we are experiencing, our soul, our spirit is experiencing this world in-fleshed. We're in-fleshed. So when we're in-fleshed, we're going to be likely to experience fleshy things, mistakes, making choices, deciding that you're not going to take the road on the right and go on the left, and that may prolong you from meeting or connecting with that soulmate that you made an agreement. We're going to meet at Grand Central Station in 2023. Okay, will I even be alive? I hope I'm around.
Didn't we have that talk too about, well, what happens if your soulmate moved on and is no longer in flesh? I mean,
that's a good question. Hey, Amber, how are you, girl?
Hey, sis.
That is a good question, because what if they unalive themselves? What if they just say, I can't bear this enfleshment?
Mm-hmm. See, that's why I kind of think, because we had that talk earlier about the animals coming back. I do believe, there's been times I'm like, I know this person, and I'm looking at an animal, but I'm like, I know this person, because I'm like, I know you.
You're as crabby as my grandma. Or
my grandmother's looking down at me going, what the?
And my grandmother's like, are you referring to me
We're both going
as a chihuahua?
We're both going to get slapped tonight in our dreams. Both of them.
Yeah. But I think it's like when we think about the term the agreement with the agreement rolls over to the next lifetime. All right, so if that person unalived themselves and left me at Grand Central Station, what's the probability I'm going to agree to meet you in the next lifetime? Not you, Amber, but that person that
But then what happens when you go to Grand Central Station? Nobody there. You're like, waiting. I sat here waiting for 2 years for you. Where were you at?
That is a kind of good question, because if that boat was missed, and I'm using a metaphoric boat, if that boat was missed, I mean, how do you deal? I mean, have you ever experienced anything like that?
Amber, me and her have been through that many times. There's been times we've missed each other, but we find each other again. It's weird, and it's been years and years later, we'll find each other again, or one of us will disappear for a few years and then come right back, and it just, we never left.
Hey, I got 3 kids more. No.
No, really.
Just joking. There's people in my life that we didn't speak for several years, and it wasn't like we had no hostility, no falling out or anything to that effect. It was just life takes you off in different directions. And
but yeah, when you reconnect, it's like not even a day has passed. You're like,
yeah. I was like, probably one of my best friends is Annie Vanek. And Annie, I call my sister, and if somebody said, "Oh, that's not really your sister," I'd probably have to like shank you. Not really, but I'd have to say, define what sister is. Because just because you're in flesh doesn't mean you guys are really truly connected. Okay, just because you share a little of fleshy DNA doesn't mean that you're connected with that person. Let me clarify that.
Well, that goes physical versus emotional. Because there's that physical connection. Because yes, we are by the same blood. We come from the same place in this realm. But I have no connection to you outside of it. And when this lifetime ends, my soul, your soul are going to go.
My soul and your soul have no connection. The only reason we are related is because we infleshed in the same family. Mm-hmm. We happen to have the same sperm donor and egg donor, and I'm just, I'm not trying to be hateful about my parents. I love my parents, they are who made me who I am. And, and it's kind of like, when you start thinking about all, it's like growing up in my family, everybody complained about my mother, and they would talk horribly about my mom. Hi, Gabby. I'm like, does that say Gabby or Gabby?
I thought it said Cody. I was like, who's that? Katie?
That's it. It looks like it says G. Oh, wait, hold on.
It is Gabby, but
it's CB. CB Ramirez.
Oh.
I like that. CB. Andale. All right, but, it's like being born into a family and you just obviously don't fit. I think they call them black sheep. Like the black, you're the black sheep of the family, and it's... you spend most of your time feeling like
you don't belong.
You don't belong, or you're out of place, or, I'm a square peg and everybody else is round.
But eventually your vibration takes over, and it maybe that's what it is, because we are all vibration, and eventually that vibration is going to be like, you know what, I've had enough. You need to go this way. And
it's we are. And that's what we are, is vibration. I'm vibration, you're vibration, we vibrate, we have a frequency. They can measure us, they can measure our temperature. Okay, so that's a form of measuring what your vibration is. When they take your temp at our blood pressure, etc. We are vibrational beings. And we just happen to be infleshed at this given moment. And in that enfleshment, you're having experiences and connections with people. Now, my thing is that I want, not that I don't love my soulmates. I'd like to meet some new ones. Just saying.
Well, think about our case, though. Like, we vibrated away from each other for a while. Like, in 2008, we met. And then in 2009, we kind of lost touch. And then, like, 10 years later, in 2018 or 19, we finally meet up again. It's like, oh, hi, it's been a long time.
And we have, like, tons of mutual friends.
Oh, yeah, a million.
It was just really weird. And it was just, like, even with mutual friends. And I think that I had, like, sent you a Facebook friend request. And I was like, I must have pissed Matthew off.
I took it the same thing. Like, maybe I don't know. What happened?
Did I make a joke? Did I make a comment? Because I tend to make jokes. I tend to make comments. And people get all triggered and offended. And instead of saying something to me like, hey, that was uncool, then people will ghost me. And that really kind of makes me laugh. Because to me, ghosting people is what you do in high school.
But that's the thing that's messed up about the world, because like they'll ghost you and then they'll talk smack about you when you had she's got malintent against me. No, I didn't. Why are you putting that on me? I never had that intention towards you. You felt that I did, and instead of coming to me to verify it, you went all left field with it, where it could have just been squashed like that.
Where it could have been, and I think that that's the biggest problem in a lot of relationships, and especially like the relationships that we see today. People being triggered so easily and quickly.
Oh my God, it's just like, I'm triggered. I'm like,
about the stupid conspiracy theory. And I'm like, I'm talking about medical quackery. I'm talking about people telling me that my ionic fed detoxes are BS. And I'm like, they've helped a lot of people. Or they'll say, oh, well, Reiki is just garbage. And I was like, that person used to be taking 80 to 100 milligrams of Lortab a day, and now,
But that's modern medical science.
but
That's
they're not.
killing your body.
But or they were doing all of these other things that were
Not working.
harmful on their body, and not, and they started doing Reiki, and then they improved and they healed, and people, oh, that's like witchcraft, or that's this, or that's bullshit, that's quackery. And I'm like, most of these people that are making those
Oh my God,
comments,
that's conspiracy right there. That they're trying to keep us unhealthy to keep us under their control.
exactly. That's what I feel. That's what I feel about the church. And yes, I am Christian. I'm non-denominational. But I really feel like there's a lot of organized churches that don't want you to know God. They want you to know the pastor of that church
And pay their
and
bills.
their director, their board of directors of that church, and pay the bills. But they really don't want you to know God. They really don't want you to connect in with that vibration or that frequency, because you got to think about, why did they hate Jesus so much? They hated Jesus because Jesus said, you don't need that middleman. You don't need that. You can connect in with God, universe, creator, whatever you want to call it, I don't care, on your own, and be a part of that vibration.
But it also ties into like the non-Christian community, like within the spiritual, Wiccan, pagan, metaphysical, Norse, whatever you want to call it. You have those same people in this community as well. That's like, oh, I see you have a dark entity on you, and I'm the only one who can fix it. It's that ego. I'm the only one who can heal you. Well, you're trying to be egotistical, not about that. It's not about the energy heal anymore. It's about, I'm the only one who can fix you, so pay me. And then you, after about a month or two of sessions, your inner self is like, no, this is bullshit. This is total bullshit, because you're just trying to get money out of me. You're not caring about my healing, where the person down the street is like $5 and you're completely healed in 5 minutes. All they had to do was just hold your hand, and they pushed all that energy into you.
Yeah, or something to that. Yeah,
Yeah,
something
you get the
to
point,
that.
but
Yeah, I get the point there. And it's like, I think that there is even physicians do that.
Oh yeah.
In the
Don't get me
medical
started
world.
on my back issue. Remember that one?
Oh yeah, you'll have a physician that says, I'm the only surgeon in the world that does this operation. And then you find out, I didn't even really need that operation. I could have just done X, Y, and Z.
Well, I'm gonna pick on Thomas. That's the same thing to do with him when they put a shunt in. They were like, oh, let's put one in, and then the doctor 2 months later is like, I might not have done that one. Thanks for telling us 2 months later after you already cut it open.
Cut it open, put a foreign body device into your body in order to create something.
And we forget about the natural way of healing, because eons ago there were always natural ways of healing. There's medicines that come from the earth, from itself, that it's gifted to us.
Mm-hmm. Even crystals and stones. And I love the way people, hey Pamela, I love the way people will sit there and they'll go, oh, you guys have crystals and stones here. Isn't that witchcraft? And I'm like, seriously? What scripture are you reading?
Well, let me check real quick. So this one is going to be the Christian stone. So this one's and then this one's the witch stone, right? So which one's Christian versus which one's witch?
Well, neither one of them is Christian, and
But
neither one of them is witch.
According to them.
Okay, well, I will say this. Okay, so these are supposed to be Satan's phallus.
I don't want to focus on that. I don't like that.
And I'm like, okay, it just looks like a tower to me.
That would hurt. I am not sick. No.
Yeah.
No.
And I'm like, I don't know who's banging Satan, but I don't think I want that.
I'm good.
I did not say that, right? But, and I'm like, the crystals and stones are talked about all throughout Scripture.
What was it? We talked about the vest of stones.
On Moses. And if you've been watching The Chosen, it's in season 1, and they're talking to, I think it's season 1. It's like late in season 1 or early in season 2, and they're talking to 2 of these temple priests, and the temple priest has this shield thing on, and it has 12 crystals and stones on it, like labradorite, beryl, carnelian, and amethyst, quartz. And they're like, well, that's all satanic. And I go, well, then Moses was satanic too, because Moses. I was like, don't forget the meat. Moses was one of the high priests, just as his brother Aaron was, and others were, and they were using the stones and crystals.
But see, that's another way that they can separate you from, because, like, I know, like, with me lately, I've been looking for more vibration stones.
Mm-hmm.
But, you see people who are like, no, don't use stones because it's all up. But they're trying to take you away from it. And, like, with weed, it's like, oh, don't do that. That's bad. That's criminal. Now you put criminal on that one. But yet, some people, instantly, you smoke a little, you're connected.
You're connected, and you're feeling good, and your pain is gone. Okay, so here's like one of my, all right, so crystals and stones are allegedly really bad, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, so you have a quartz in your microwave. Do you use your microwave? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what I thought. Oh, do you use your computer? There's a quartz in there, too. You wear a wedding ring? Is it a gold band? A silver band? Does it have a stone on it? Ooh, you're practicing witchcraft. We can make witchcraft out of anything. And you can make Christianity or Muslim or Hinduism or Buddhism or Zoroastrianism, whatever. You can make religion out of anything. You can make a spiritual relationship or a spiritual experience out of anything. Anything at all.
People forgot, though, it's about the relationship. It's about that relationship with Creator, Source, God, Goddess, whatever you want to call it. It's that relationship between you and that energy. It's not about the brick and mortar.
It's not about the brick and mortar. It's about the relationship. Because I have to sit there and still look back and think of all of the different religious groups that have had any kind of...
Zealots.
Zealots too. God, my God. Did you know... I won't go down that road today. I was like, Judas was a zealot. Yeah, the Judas, right? That you can have a religious or spiritual experience in anything. Anything. Whether it's eating a food for the first time and it is the most delicious, mouth-watering, encompassing, nurturing, nourishing, substantial little piece of grain of rice or whatever, doesn't make a difference. You can have a spiritual experience. You can have a spiritual experience sitting in the hospital waiting room. You can have a spiritual experience.
People have enlightenments when people die. When people pass away, you have that like aha moment. You're like, you feel them passing through you.
And you're like, oh my, yeah.
Or you have like what was it? I think it's the Seminole tribe where you don't stand when they're doing the burial. You don't stand in the path because that's believed that's where the spirit goes home, and you feel it. You really do sometimes feel it because you're like, oh my goodness, it's something sacred right here.
Okay, so I got a little story for y'all here. Okay, and this has to do with my mother. My mother-in-law died on August 3rd of 2019. I want to say it's 2019. Okay, August 3rd, 2019, and it was a Saturday morning. All right, so we had a little flea market booth, and I'm over at the flea market booth, and I go out to my truck, and I'm unloading my truck, and I open at the door, and I'm just standing there, looking and going, okay, what do I want to pull first? And the next thing I know, I am getting hit by an energy like whack, and I'm laying on the ground, and I'm like, holy cow, what the heck was that? Like, where did that come from? So I get my stuff together, and I just kind of like take my stuff in, and my brother-in-law text messages me, and he's looking for my husband, and I'm like, I don't know where he is, I'm like, I'm at work, or whatever. And I don't hear anything all day long. So I get home, and I'm walking in, and I'm like, what a day, blah, 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 blah. My husband looks at me, and he goes, my mother died. And I'm like, don't lie to me. And he's looking at me, and he goes, no, my mother's dead. My mother died. today. So we end up going out there and listening to everybody talk, and like she lived with my grandmother-in-law, and listening to Miss Paula, the grandmother-in-law, talking, and it ends up that she probably died like at 9:15 that morning when she was getting up and getting ready for work. And that was about the time that I'm over there at the truck, and I open the door and I get that energy that knocks me down to the ground. And I'm like, just like my mother-in-law to do that. Now, my mother-in-law liked me, so it wasn't like she was, like, let me get one last punch in before, wasn't that at all. She liked me, and it was probably like, hey, take care of business. And so when you said that, I was like, yeah, I agree.
Well, there was like that kind of ties. I'm gonna pick on my sister here for a second, because like with spiritual families, we kind of tie in that whole what we still sense each other from a distance. Like when my sister went in labor, Amber, when she went into labor, Maddie in England, he fell over and started having like labor pains. He's like, I can't move. And then we're calling him. He's like, I'm hurting. What's wrong? We're like, oh, your sister's in labor. Oh, that's what I'm feeling. Thanks for that. We're like, oops, my bad.
Oh, that hurts so bad, labor pains for people, or think of that. What about the energy of twins?
Yeah, the that weird connection where they say you can feel each other miles and
miles away, and where they go
even those ones that are separated at birth and they don't even know what they're feeling. They're like, what did I just feel?
And they both marry, like the guys, and they both married a girl
similar
named Linda, women, and all this other stuff, and you're like, that's really weird.
Oh yeah,
that's vibration.
Conspiracy
that's frequency.
Theory. There we go.
That has nothing to do with enfleshment.
Mm-mm.
That is vibration. That is frequency. And that is what we are made of. And when we start learning how to use vibration and frequency in order to create a better life for ourselves, in order to create our more authentic self. And I'm like, so sometimes I think we need to lose the rule books. We need to lose the box that we're being placed into and allow us to explore
other things
or other perspectives, and going back, it's all about me when I talk about this. Is like, that's why I went to the Pashida, and I was like, I want to know what were they thinking during that time, and how did that come across? How did people, because it's like when you look at different concepts, and we think about our soul and then our physical body, and the Aramaics of 2,500 years ago didn't believe that there was a difference. It was like your soul is your soul is your soul. It's when we're in the flesh, or when we're in a human form, animal form, or whatever, we are enfleshed. That's it. But we're still a spiritual, vibrational, frequency-filled person. And every one of our organs can be measured in frequency and vibration. Every single one of them. When they are enfleshed and have frequency and vibration going through them, you can measure the vibration of every single organ, every single cell, every little part of your body that's enfleshed now carries that vibration.
Mm-hmm.
What vibration do you want to carry?
But then that goes into that whole disease thing, because it's like, if you're carrying that negative vibration with you, you're infecting your organs with that negative vibration.
Exactly.
Breast cancer, lung, you're not, I don't want to say creating it, but you kind of are creating it, because you're letting that vibration will cross over to a physical symptom.
Okay, and so let's, we got to start wrapping this up here in just a second here. But one of the things, I do want to talk about your crystals real quick, but
okay.
To kind of close out this part of it, think of it like this. Somebody gets a cancer, and I'm just going to pick on the C word, because it's,
it's the main thing.
It's the main thing, right? Somebody gets a cancer. They get a breast cancer, okay? and they go in and they have chemo and they go into remission, and they're in remission for X amount of years. I think it's 5 years. Then you can say that you're cured, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then at year 6, their breast cancer comes back. Their breast cancer never left. It never left.
Because they never dealt with the vibration.
They never dealt with that vibration. And that is why it struck again. Or it raised up and became apparent. It's because whatever vibrational issue you had that brought forth that cancer, you may have taken care of the cancer, but you never took care of that vibration.
The underlying issue.
The underlying issue. The underlying frequency that was associated with dis-ease. So, all right, so Matthew's got a little stash of stones.
These are my 2 favorite ones right now.
Okay, so, and I looked down and I go, dude, they look like a yin and a yang, right? You know, kind of. You know, we've got the black and the dark and the white. And this is Merlinite.
Otherwise known as dendritic opal.
Okay. And then you said, but people call it agate all the time, and it's not. Okay, what's the difference between an agate and an opal?
This one's more like it's more liquidy. It's got like a liquid base to it. Like it's weird. And then it's more crystalline, where like the agate is more like it's more clustery kind of.
More of a clustery. All right, so this is a Merlinite.
Well, that's mystic Merlinite.
Or mystic Merlinite. And so what's mystic Merlinite?
It's also that one is indigo gabriel.
Indigo what?
Gabriel.
Okay. You know, back in my days, we didn't use all those words. But okay.
Oh yeah, everybody's got to have 20 million different stones and variations and
through there.
And look cute, like this thing. Yeah.
Okay. So what do we got going on next week, dude? Next Saturday, the 10th.
Oh wait, I thought it was the 11th.
It's the 10th.
Oh, I don't know.
Saturday the 10th
is our open house.
We are having an open house from 11 to 4. And we're inviting you, and I will actually have like hot teas, coffees, maybe a little apple cider, maybe some eggnog. I don't know. I don't eat raw eggs, so I'm like, I don't know. And then maybe some fun food things, but we're going to have some discounts. We're going to have a lot of stuff on sale. You can get gift certificates that day if you'd like to get gift certificates. Matthew's got some phenomenal crystals and stones that he would love to share with you. And then we also, Matthew and I joined together for one of our Christmas specials that we have, that's a joint effort, is a chakra balancing session, and it's a little bit, it'll be about a 90-minute session. And in this session, so you get 90 minutes of chakra balancing, but you get a set of, and we didn't bring those in. Shoot. He's going to go grab it while I'm describing it. So we're going to have 7 stones that will be attuned to your vibration, your frequency for alignment. So you can utilize those all in the future as much as you'd like. And then we'll also have a prophecy stone. And I'm going to let him tell you about the prophecy stones, because those are kind of like new things for this old girl.
That prophecy stone is no joke. I'm telling you, I have the most vivid visions in those things. Like, when we're doing Reiki and I'm on the table, if one of these is in my pocket, it's over. I'm done. But I like the prophecy stone a lot because it bonds with your energy.
In a good way. He's over and done in a good way.
No. It bonds with your energy. Like, it bonds to you. When you pick it, it's like that thing we were talking about with soulmates. You pick it up, it knows you, and you're like, it hits like 3 chakras. I know it hits... Because, like, if everybody picks up, like, oh, my God, my third eye's going crazy. Well, yeah, of course. It's going to make your third eye go crazy. Cuckoo.
But it's called a prophecy stone, and it's where are they found?
They were found in Egypt. And then, like, you can either do the 7 stones with a little baggie, or, because, like, sometimes you want to wear that stone, just put it on a necklace, and we could do a wire wrap for it.
Okay, or a cage. It's the cage, not a wrap. Okay, there's a stone down there.
Oh, which one dropped?
Oh. Okay, so... these stones that are included in the, and it looks like he wrapped one just to kind of show it through there. So I'm like, so you get several, there's a garnet, there's an amethyst, there's a shungite. Is that shungite? Yeah, shungite. Crackled citrine. I think they look really, really cool. And then aquamarine. Aquamarine's a really good stone. Of course, the lapis, and then he put that in the little thing.
That was a strawberry quartz.
Okay, I'm sorry. That was strawberry quartz. And I love these. These are really pretty. And then, of course, we have the garnet. And I went and picked myself up some of those too. So anyway, you get a good little selection of stones. And I attune those with frequency or vibration and frequency with the tuning forks. I tune those stones to you. We do, and then we, you know, of course, do your chakra balancing, and that runs $135. Mm-hmm. Or if you'd like to add a reading onto it, it's an extra hour, and it's a it's a $200 session. Mm-hmm. But it does include the stones, which, you know, with your cutesy little bag here, your stones, your 7 chakra stones, and your prophecy stone, the attunement to the stones, your chakra balancing, and then if you'd like a reading, you can add a reading onto it. And that is one of our Christmas specials. And then the other Christmas special that will be going live this afternoon is one of my very first
combos. Coupon. I forgot the coupon.
Oh, yeah, and there's a 10% coupon.
Yeah, 10% off your next order.
Off your next, for the crystal shop. And then the other thing I have, my other Christmas special that goes live today is one of my first combos that I ever did, and it was the Reiki and Reflexology.
Ooh.
Now, 10 years ago, I was doing Reiki and etc., and I started adding reflexology onto it, and then I noticed it is nationwide, people doing Reiki and reflexology. And it was like everything I started doing, everybody else is doing it, within, a year, 6 months to a year. And so I was like, hey, I created some cool trends. So for this Christmas 2022, as it is my 10-year anniversary here.
It's been 10 years. Oh my
goodness. Been 10 years here at this facility. I'm offering the Reiki and Reflexology for Christmas. I normally don't do that combo together. It's a lot of work.
It's a long session.
It's a long session. It's a 90-minute session, 45 of Reiki, 45 minutes of reflexology, and 90 minutes of pure bliss.
You'll come out feeling like a brand new person.
Exactly, and that's what it's all about. So I hope you enjoyed today and our conversations on high vibes and good times. We do like to focus on things that are positive or have a resolution. So if there are topics that you would like for us to discuss, we'll be happy to discuss them. Drop us a line, give us a shout, let us know what you think. And we'll be happy to incorporate that in. But we plan on doing this on Friday afternoons and then posting them up on YouTube and on all of our different social media. So I hope you enjoyed today. And please come see us very soon. And next Saturday from 11 to 4, open house. Oh, $25 foot detoxes. I'm going to teach Matthew how to do some so he can help me.
You told me that 2 years ago.
I know.
I forgot. It's been a while.
No, yeah. It's people think foot detoxes are like super easy to do and whatever. Oh, no, they're not.
It's a lot of setup to it.
It's a lot of setup to it, a lot of preparation, a lot of monitoring, and then the cleanup on it is, we have cleanup on it too.
Oh, yeah.
So, I was like, they are a lot of work, but they are wonderful and good for the soul, good for the spirit, good for the body. So, peace, love, and harmony. We hope to see you very soon. We need some bloopers.